Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm fine. You're now live on live stream. Smile.
Hello.
That's out on YouTube right now.
Hello, world. Oh, my. Okay.
Well, nobody can get it because they don't know what it is. But.
Okay. Cool. I gotta make some copies. I'll be right back.
Mr. Dittman.
Mr. Norman.
How be you?
I be good, you?
Well, be careful what you say, my friend, because this is live.
What to who?
It's on YouTube right now. It's live. It's a live stream on YouTube. But rest assured, since nobody knows it's there, nobody can get it. But there you are, live and in color.
I will behave.
Audio and video.
I will behave. So how are things? Good?
Yeah, how about you?
It's busy. Otherwise good.
Busy is good.
Busy's good. Busy's good.
You'd go crazy if you weren't busy.
That's true. I would.
Hi there.
Good morning.
Somebody's sitting in my seat.
Sounds like Goldilocks.
All right, I'll sit over here. That's the way it's going to be. It's usually freezing in here.
There you are. You're actually on YouTube right now.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Oh.
If I sent the link to anybody,
Uh-huh.
they could see you.
Better hold my stomach in then.
I told Gary, be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Because it's both audio and video.
Oh, that's great.
So-
I'm looking forward to seeing how this works and how we access it and everything. I'll give you one of these. I'm sorry, I just dumped my water bottle on it, but this was just.
Oh
I
boy.
was just playing with one of those
Hey,
things.
Steph,
Hi,
how are you?
Is that you down there?
That's me.
Okay. All right, well, I'll give you
We'll
one
give
of
you
the
one of
drier
these,
ones.
Gary. And Stephanie, your name. Right.
Yeah, I don't know who this is.
That's Tricia.
Oh, okay.
She's making copies.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No tea and crumpets?
Unless you brought them, no.
I did not.
Have you ever had crumpets?
No.
What is it called?
It's some kind of confectionery, I think. Some
Well,
kind of,
scone.
yeah.
Yeah, there was, in Philadelphia, they had crimpets, a tasty cake made crimpets, and they were little cakes like that, like coffee cakes.
Maybe they're from
So I don't know.
derivation.
Don't know where they got the name.
Well, if I were the crumpet people, I'd be upset because
Yeah.
they stole it. So what you need to think about, Gara,
Yeah.
since this is evidence that it works here, and that it's costless, it doesn't cost anything, is where might you use it?
We have a meeting coming up. The developer meeting.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Coulter wants theirs broadcast live. That's up to them.
Yeah, okay.
I already kind of asked them, and they seemed willing to do it.
Oh, yeah?
Good. And here comes Linda.
Even if they violate fire
Hi.
code, they
Hello.
250 people in roadgrass.
Well,
Is this what we're
this
looking?
has unlimited number of participants. Anybody whom we send the link to in an email can
Neither one will fall, you're safe.
Okay.
can access it live.
Hey, Trish.
We all dress nicely since we're going to be on
You didn't know that, did you?
Oh, I didn't. I'm going to the, is this for you?
That's for you.
Okay.
And one for
Okay.
you,
I'm going to the yard sale. Thank you.
don't forget.
The yard
and one for you.
I think my
So
paper
did you
got
get one
wet.
of these?
I think they all got wet.
Oh no.
Oh, sorry, I guess.
I thought this was part of the design, so that was what we do it. How we do it.
It's supposed to be that way.
Well, you're not on camera, so why don't you sit down there?
Okay.
You took my seat today, but that's
Oh,
okay.
If you twist my
Yeah,
arm
you're
enough.
not in the
Shall we
picture.
switch? That's
Right.
awesome.
Somehow, I gotta see if I can angle this,
Me too.
angle this so I can get you guys.
Yes, oh, well.
Gary saw his hair consultant this morning.
Now, be careful here.
Oh, that's right.
God made very few perfect heads, the rest he covered with hair.
There you go. There you go.
I think that was a crossword for the other day. It's something to do with what does heavy or high or something. I forget. Scalp.
Do we know if anybody else is planning to?
Did you hear from Linda or Jody or Ken?
Jody's in town, I
I
think.
know she is, I'm thinking.
Oh, sorry.
I did not talk to her about
No,
this.
usually she'd email me and let me know if she's going or not. I didn't hear anything this time around.
Okay, well, it's after 10, so I guess. Well, where shall we start, y'all? You wanna
Survey.
survey? Okay. All right.
Survey.
And then let's
The
pass these
survey
around.
says,
Survey says. Oh, I'll need one of them back.
I love the way that
You got one?
can like get down and under it, huh?
is this,
Yeah.
is this
Oh,
different
is
than what
this,
you
is
sent
this
out?
Jody?
No.
Is she blonde?
No, it should
I
be.
didn't send it to her.
Did you bring
Oh.
that?
Yes,
So-
yes.
Yes, Jody is blonde.
Thank you so much. Survey results.
Yes. So,
Oh,
there she
Hey
is.
Jody.
You know, I was actually early, I went to get this cup of coffee, I think I've done it, it's so much closer.
You're gonna wanna sit down there because then you're on camera.
Because what?
Then you're on camera.
We are.
Like
We're
your
making
friend.
its way around.
You know, I actually have to leave a little early, so I'm here late, and then I'll
Should we give this to
Yeah,
her?
that's what I thought she was gonna sit here.
If you wouldn't mind.
Alright.
Excellent.
Oh, is there another thing?
That's
really good.
I'll come back and I'm leaving on Thursday.
Okay,
Thank you.
There's two of these?
yes.
Wonderful.
Alright. Did everybody have,
this one?
for the survey, there's two things, one with a staple and one without.
So this is an executive summary and this is the result.
So, these are both my recommendation to the strategic committee in terms of how to talk about the results with the advisory committee coming up later this week. So this, if we start with the one with the staple in it, It's basically, it's PowerPoint that I used to talk with the strategic folks the other day, but I tweaked it to make it for the audience of the advisory committee. So up to you, Gary, if you all want to use these things at all, or we can talk through these and then decide if you want to talk about something else. But basically, this is about 10 slides that kind of walks through what the results were, and in a sort of concise way. And we can, certainly I realize most people haven't seen this. I've seen it to death. But we can talk through it if you want. But basically, thinking of the advisory committee as the audience. The first slide just gives background. What did we do? How did we do it? And then, it kind of jumps into what did we learn, and walks through the various questions that we asked, and the answers that we got in a summary fashion. The last two slides, I just kind of summarized the comments into buckets rather than featuring any particular comments. And then the very last slide talks about the clubs and organizations survey, which was a separate survey that went to 15 people that lead the clubs and organizations. So it kind of is the results at a glance, and I thought that might be an efficient way for Gary and the others to talk through all of this with the advisory committee. And then the other piece that you have, the one-pager that's two-sided, is just that. We felt like a one-pager that would summarize everything. That one is intended for the advisory committee, but also, I think, and up to y'all as the leadership, what you want to do, I think something like this would be good for the community at large, because we promised them that we would share back the results, and I think that doing so in a concise, one-page format like this is a good way to go.
They'll probably read it.
That's the hope. So those are the things that I've prepared as a recommendation for the strategic group in terms of their further communication of this effort.
It's great. Did a nice job.
I still come back to the question I keep asking. I don't know what this tells us.
Yeah. Well, it's open to interpretation. And I purposefully, when you have time to read this one-pager closely, I purposely kept it just the facts, man. Just the facts. No, very little interpretation, because I want people to be able to look at the information and draw some conclusions. But I don't think that these stand alone. I think that before you go out to the community at large, or the reps go out to the community at large, I think that some talking points that do put some analysis around this would be in order, and or frequently asked questions kind of a document. Because the reason I wanted this to be interpretation free is that it was a survey exercise, and I just want people to see here's what it said. But then I think it's fair for the strategic committee and the advisory committee to layer in on top of that, here's what we think this tells us. So I agree with you. It's not a slam dunk in either direction.
But it's also, my math is closely correct. It's only 60% of the neighborhood vote.
But that, given what I sent you, that's pretty remarkable.
I understand that, but 40% didn't. And so we're going to ask everybody to make a decision on almost half the people not voting.
But it's not a vote. I'll say for the,
I agree.
Providing an
I've been
opinion.
taking the sort of.
Gary, can I take a crack at your
Please.
question? goes right to the heart of this thing, which is what is a need. I think, well, what did you need when we commissioned this? We wanted to get a sense of the community as to whether there is a need. I think this is a needs analysis rather than a survey. That's the way I've looked at it, and that's the way I approached it when I answered it. Is there a need in our community? Do I think there's a need in this community for this? So, with that in mind, does this inform you at all about whether or not there is a need?
In my opinion, no.
No. A slight leaning, yes, it's certainly.
Well, since
It's like taking the temperature and it's 98.9.
yeah, well, it's not unanimous, that we can say.
A close vote between about 60% of the neighborhood, that's pretty much where we stand. And that's,
So the reason that I featured question number 6 first, rather than, I'm a very linear person and it's not like me not to start with question number 1. But the reason that I started with question number 6 is that I think, yeah, I was in a crazy mood. No, I think that it's telling. I think that it might be the most telling question of the survey because of those that expressed an opinion, pretty much 2 to 1 said, yes, this is going to add to my property value. I think that is the only slam dunk in the whole thing. That's my personal opinion.
That is a horrible admission.
I'm sorry, say
What do you mean?
Oh, I just
It's all
completely
about
disagree
the
with it. I mean, how is pickleball going to enhance a property value? I
Well,
mean, I just, in no
Not
way,
having
shape,
it-
or form did I
Not
ever
having
see
it
that
would
happen.
make people not
So it's
want to buy
about-
here,
well, it's
according
about-
to some of the responses.
Yeah, well, that's just
it's just an
dandy fine
opinion.
with me, but I know.
it's about 430 to 360. If
It's
you
not a
count,
fact, it's
I have
just
no
an
opinion about that.
They
yes,
think-
I don't think you can count that though.
Is that
Well,
what
Is that
Personally,
correct
I
or
don't
not?
think you can.
that's,
You know.
that's a fair.
So to your point though, Jody,
It's
it,
amazing.
the way that I look at it, and again, this is Tricia's opinion, it might not add any money to my bottom line when I go to sell my house, but it might help to keep the universe of people interested in buying here from shrinking and eroding, because it's an amenity that, apparently everybody wants.
It's pretty
And
up
if
and
you
coming.
don't have it, some people, it's like a checkbox, I won't look at that community. The anecdotal information I have about that is my sister's community, which is West Bay.
Mhm.
And they went through this whole thing, took them about 2 years to get there. And according to the folks down there, they have now sold properties because they have it,
Mm.
where they were losing sales previously because they didn't have it.
Mm.
So that's, do I think it's gonna add to my bottom line? No, I don't, but I do think that it's one more reason for a potential buyer to look here and potentially choose my house. That's how I look at it.
I think there also, I think it was, maybe 2 meetings ago before we had the results. And someone, I don't remember who, expressed a concern that the partisans on either side were going to come out. I don't remember who did that, but somebody, okay. Does this in any way confirm that?
In my mind, it does. Because the negativity that comes through it is strong. And most of it's about spending my money.
And I think once you can put some financial information with this information about what the intent is to do with the property, I do think more clarity is going to come then. You might get your slam dunk then. Once you're in a position to say to people, okay, it's going to cost you $200 a year to do this.
Well, slam dunk on either side, right? Like slam dunk of people saying, I'm not doing this.
Could go either way. So what's the alternative? So if we don't do this, what happens? I think you need to describe that for people because they need to know both.
But we also need to know that if this is a sales center and pickleball idea combined, that we're looking at $1.3 million for $150,000 worth of pickleball courts.
Mhm. But, you know,
Other
also
renovations and-
meeting space that people said was important on some level, right? But, you know, I mean, not for me to
They want
say.
bathrooms more than they want meeting space.
Yes,
Are we gonna
everybody
break
wants
down
to
walls,
know.
or we gonna add, subtract, and what's gonna happen here? There might be some.
The other one that I think is kind of telling is on the back side, the last one, about whether people would drive or walk or ride a bike. We included, I don't think I would use this facility, and, you know, I'm gonna show my bias. I really thought that would get a lot more play. I thought we'd get, 50% of people saying I wouldn't use it. We got 15.51. So the implication there is that 84% think they might use it for something. So I think those two questions, personally to me, indicate support, but that's just Trish's opinion.
You know, it would be so comfortable if it just said, oh, this is the right way to go. Start.
There is no right answer is the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe the cart's before the horse. And that is more education needs to take place in the community before you then take the temperature.
We already took the temperature.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying what is the flaw? I think maybe people there needs to be a little more education out there about what this might be.
What's being discussed
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
One thing that wasn't.
Just a thought.
No, that was the intent of having this material,
Mhm.
so that we could put something together that would be informational and educational. Because without knowing what it would cost to remedy this building, tear down the trailers, make this usable for whatever activities we wanted, there was no way to tell anybody anything, other than say, Pulte wants $1 million for this, and everybody goes, oh, it's a piece of junk, why would I do that? So now we have some answers.
Well, the reason to do it is because of the pickleball courts. I mean, and even though it's morphed into something bigger and more productive, frankly, than that, and could meet the needs of several other special interest groups, if you will. The resounding thing was that they wanted to put those pickleball courts and our tennis courts up there, ruin the whole look of our club house area up there. And this has been kind of a talking point or a stopgap to doing that. So people in the community, is there really a choice? I mean, I guess there is a choice. It's just that, if everybody wants the pickleball courts, then you gotta put them somewhere. And it's gonna cost something. So, I don't know. I mean, what more needs to be done? Again, the podcast idea of, having talking head, talk about, okay, people are really in the spirit of wanting pickleball courts. And even if you don't want to play pickleball, you should probably think in terms of your property values going down if we don't incorporate that. Our community needs to grow. Everybody in here, everything's about growth. If our community is going to grow and even be viable in the future, pickleball is something that we need to incorporate. And I cannot even believe I'm saying these things because I don't think it's going to add any value at all. But you make a valid point. You do too. You know more than we do about what's the barometer out there. I tend to I'm not going to pontificate on pickleball. That's stupid. So the point is that it needs to move forward, and people just don't get it that things don't happen in a bucket. Like, of course you're gonna have to put money into it for God's sakes. And that's
How much is what's relevant.
What are we expecting someone to build these pickleball courts out of the goodness of their hearts?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. So again, what needs to happen? What needs to be?
Oh, we have to provide an answer to why is the VCA building pickleball courts? courts. It's a club amenity, it's not a BCA amenity. And all other sports activities are supported by the membership of that particular sport. So now we've got 1,200 doors supporting pickleball for 400 people.
So I thought it was the Neil thing that Neil said, we're doing it, we're gonna have
Neil has
pickleball.
nothing to do with this.
Well, if they're putting it all over their
They're
brochures,
using this advertising piece to support.
what the, is that all about if they're not gonna come in and, you know, and so there's some responsibility there. You can't be advertising that you have something and then take no responsibility in how to freaking put it.
Yeah, Neil keeps asking me about that. I'm telling him there's no guarantee for anything right now. There's no formal deal in place. So they keep asking, oh, what about pickleball? What about, you know?
What about build it? You know, again, I mean, if you're advertising to people that you have homes where there's going to be pickleball, well, then stop advertising it. Because they're making
It'd be nice if they'd contribute.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know if
Jeez,
anyone
I mean,
has
if they're
officially asked them.
well, then ask them. We need to ask them.
I don't know,
Say,
maybe some.
or hold their feet to the fire from a group standpoint. Like, look, you know, you are advertising it. You are moving this needle forward.
Well,
You're, you know.
If they're going to benefit from sales, they have about 400 more homes that they're going to sell. You know,
Right. So
pretty
then
high
come-
dollar homes too, by the way. I'm looking at some of these closing costs, and my goodness. So I mean, if you're going to profit from some of these new sales that are going to be built with 75-foot lots at Winding River, the 55-foot lots at Magnolia Point, and Bowen Cove, right? I mean, if they're using pickleball to help profit, spin a profit with them, then it's that conversation should be brought to the table.
Everything I'm hearing seems it's convincing me more and more that we need to get out there and do a little bit more education, a little more informative.
Well, again, I think we need to be informed. I mean, for God's sakes, if it's something that the community, if the builder is putting it out there that this is available and they're not doing anything to make it available, then stop it. Stop doing that. If we as a group decide that we should be supporting this ridiculous sport, then we should do it.
And not only
You know, I did
that,
that
you residents, I met with a new Neil resident yesterday and last week and everything like that. And they're asking me, what's the pickleball courts? What's going on? I said, well, there's more information to follow. I don't have that now. There's no formal deal in place. Not for BC. There's not.
Well,
So-
your position is really awkward because you're
Yes, it is.
presenting something that isn't there. It's not even. I mean, it's a wisp of smoke.
Right. So Neil, I mean, amongst everything else, Neil's coming to me. You know, Neil representatives are coming to me. What's happening with the pickleball courts? When we know it's going to happen. No formal deal in place.
I mean, no one in here is a big pickleball person. I mean, for God's sakes, where is the movement? I mean,
Exactly.
there for a while it was the next thing was going to happen in that damn River Village. I mean, stop that from happening because that's ridiculous. You cannot have another goddamn thing up there, for God's sakes, and finish what you got started over there.
Parking
I mean,
is not yet.
Yeah, I mean, the parking alone, if that would pull 40 cars in like that. That's why I
Plus-
just am so curious, like, why it would be an added value thing. But anyway, I'm not-
Plus, there's over 400 homes to be built, so that's another 1, 3, maybe 4 cars per household. That might be so that's something we all need. I mean, with this space, while striking while the iron's hot. You know, I mean that's a big thing. I keep saying at Botanica Lakes, there was a huge pickleball revolution. I play tennis almost a couple times a month. I'm not a pickleball player, but I mean, they're going nuts about it. And then we had 8 pickleball courts outlined on the tennis courts. It was crazy, but we got it done. And people, playing at 6 o'clock at night, and they're going, they're playing all the time. Oh, the pickleball crew plays on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and right. I mean, you see quite a bit of revolution. And then you have 11512 Veranda Palm Court right here at Royal Palm. Saw me for about a half hour yesterday. And it's like, they can't build pickleball courts. They don't. The noise. I'm right here.
They're not informed because
They've got all the
somewhere
noise.
along the
And they have no
way,
choice,
we were
obviously.
given the impression that they were informed of something. Is that not true?
Well, they purchased that through, I believe that was one of the Coulter lots. 11512 was one of the Coulter lots, and I believe
We've been led to believe that they signed, for lack of a better term, an affidavit,
Yeah.
that they knew all about it, they were okay with it.
What is that structure
We
that
have
built a
asked,
lot?
we have asked for that and have not seen it.
Is this the deal where someone puts some weird structure on a lot?
No, this is the
No.
person that
It's
lives
right-
next door
right
saying
next
they
door.
don't want this to happen.
And there's some other things I'm working on now too, but yeah, he's,
That's what, that's why we had such a movement, at Hammer Creek, because we didn't want it to happen, but again, I had heard, I've been arguing with Roger about, that they were doing the Pebblebrook, that they had the Pebblebrook and they were all set up, and he argued with me about it, I think this was last year.
that they were gonna do in Pebblebrook?
Where would they have put it? Where can you put it in Pebblebrook?
It's on that deal in there.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah, but those are right now plotted as residential, so I don't know, I mean, maybe they could go to zoning and switch it up a little bit, but right now.
This is plotted for residential.
That's exactly what they have to do here.
Right,
And
yeah,
I think that's the other big card that has to get put on the table at some point. And again, up to y'all as the leadership, how that plays out and when and where, but that's the other big card here, besides cost, is, okay, what happens if we don't do this?
well,
Because
God
there's an
forbid,
answer that you're not gonna
it
like.
starts getting pushed back to the River Village, and this is what I fear,
Well, but
is that
can
you're doing
we-
nothing.
But can we focus on what happens to this land? Would you like a tattoo parlor?
This is
I'm serious.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
know.
Well, this is
Yeah.
part of the education process.
Tricia, I agree with you.
Only a limited amount of things that could be put here.
Right,
Because there are parking requirements for restaurants, for storefronts that we
They
can't.
can't be.
for us, it is the best location for so many reasons, and the parking is one, the noise is the next, the flexibility and ability for people to just be there and not have to go all the way down. I mean, it's perfect. And as much as I don't really care about it, to me, it's not an amenity, it's just some stupid thing. But that is not, that doesn't matter. It matters greatly that it's not put somewhere in the community where it detracts from the beauty of it. And that to me is the most important thing. So it's amazing to me that, it isn't forward, it hasn't been moved forward, or that, that there haven't been, sort of meeting of the minds, BCA and Neil, to say, okay, we're going forward with this. I mean, I can't believe that. That's crazy. I mean,
It's up to Colton, BCA.
Well, it seems to me that we've already tried to educate the community about these things, and trying to do it after the fact. Well, then we'd have to do another survey to see if now people have changed their minds, and we can't do that. It's like
No.
we're trying to, yeah, but you didn't vote our way, so here, let us tell you more
And
about
what
it.
if a whole other group of people votes the
We have to
second
do
time?
that.
I wouldn't
Yes.
go to that well.
You can't
I
go
agree.
I always viewed it as a phase two. Phase one was talking about the need, and phase two was about the proposal itself,
more
the
specifics.
financial pro.
Absolutely right.
And so that's where I'm headed
Yes.
in terms of
I think that's
education.
fine.
I don't think we've done an adequate, the community has, the leaders of this community have done an adequate job of educating people, and I think that's what reflects.
We've gathered your
And I
information.
think we learned
now we're
something
providing
about the
information.
next time we are to just put a little more effort into it.
Well, in fairness, there's a lot of effort that's been going on behind the scenes to get us to this point, and to get them to the point where they can talk about anything in
But
specific.
most residents don't know that.
I realize that, but I'm just saying to this group, there's a lot of people that have put in a lot of hours. So,
The problem with it is, the problem we've had since day one is, it's very difficult to take all this minute work that's been done, broadcast it effectively, and have people understand it and interpret it correctly.
Right.
Because her husband's crawled under the building, and we've had building inspectors in here, we've done all kinds of things to understand the condition of this building, what it would cost to fix it, what it would cost to tear pieces of it down. We've been to the zoning commission 4 times to understand the permitting process and everything else. It's almost impossible to communicate all those details in an effective manner, which is why it hasn't been done. And we were hoping to get something from this to combine with all of that work and somehow get that out to the community at large and say, okay, now what do you think?
you go back to the old-fashioned way of doing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
makes sense.
you know, there's no question that people are interested, and you know, let's face it, I mean, if there are some people who are apathetic and not interested, they're gonna learn from their friends. And if you have the meeting, the town hall meeting, you know, and Norm's got the great idea about, you know, you podcast that thing, and that way people like us who live in Denver, we can see it, and you get on the, you know,
Somebody never
we
can see it right
gather
now.
terrific
It works.
information from this survey. Now it is time for us to share more details and more information based on, you say, you know, based on the fact that we've done these inspections and we've got figures and here's who we've used and you know, people want to pick that apart. I wouldn't, but if you've got engineers or you know, accounting people and they want to pick that apart, so be it. But I mean, all of the information has been circulated or continues to get circulated from you all is always very professional. It's detailed. I mean, the people that are going to pick stuff apart, there are always going to be those people.
Yeah, that's,
Revert back at this moment, it would be perfectly timed to revert back to the good old fashioned, you speak from a podium.
well, we had talked about that in terms of the processes, that the next step was face-to-face meetings. Short of having the ability to do a podcast, we can't.
Well, there are people who are not going to be able to attend, so
You know, I think you speak, you have your representatives around you and supporting you, you know, you have some straight representation, or you have, you know, the other man who you work with very closely was in Fairway Cove, Bill. You know, you have your people around you, and there are always going to be those idiots within our community that think they know everything better, you know, the people who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and it's bullshit. We all know that. So just don't worry about that. These people need to be informed so that we can move this initiative forward. And Tricia's point and everyone's point, if we don't take the ball and run with it, then something's just going to happen. Nobody wants that. That was what was going to happen before.
These things are all BCA developed, and we hired people as the BCA, not as Colton. So I think that from that point of view, people should trust more what we have to present, what Gary has to present. And we have to present. And I love the town hall meeting. And now it's March, it's when a lot of communities are doing their annual budget meetings. So it's a nice sort of connection with that. And we could combine the two. So it would be such a good burden to do once we get the financial plans together. And there's one other thing on this survey that we didn't address, and we intentionally didn't, is the meeting space for non-clubs and non-organizations like yours or things like that. I think that there's interest for that, and I know on my street when I talk to people casually, that's something that they like. That's it.
I have an alternative to present, and based on your own comfort, and I'm making a leap here of an assumption that you're going to be the face.
I hope so.
Okay, so your own comfort level, how do you feel about one massive meeting, you know what those could turn into, versus perhaps individual neighborhood meetings?
I feel strongly both ways. I have no problem speaking with 3,000 people. That's a non-issue for me. The key is where and how.
Yeah, that's it.
We've also talked about breaking it down into individual community meetings, but Fairway Cove's got 93 homes. Shady Bend's got
24.
Still, okay, that's 80 people potentially. You know, where do you hold those meetings?
It's a tough call.
And can we get that all done? There's 28 neighborhoods. Can we get that done in the next 5 weeks? We have till April 30th to pull the trigger. And we're not going to back off that date. So
When are we going to know the financials? Because the first question people want to know is, how much is this going to cost me? So if it's $200 a year, and other people want to play pickleball, and I don't, that's okay. For me, I would kick in $200 a year. If it's, if it's $3,000 a year or something, then that makes you stop and think. So I don't know what.
It sounds like
the financials are range, depending on exactly how this building gets retrofitted, you're looking somewhere between $1 million and $1.3 million. And that's outside of pickleball, which Coulter said they would take the burden of the first 4 courts, which is $150,000. So it's a drop in the bucket compared to the other costs. That's $1,000 per door. Then there's an ongoing upkeep of this facility, which is already in the budget. So we're not adding that to the budget. That's already part of the operating budget. So there may be a slight adjustment to that, but that's not going to happen. So the add-on would be if we take out a mortgage for $1.3 million, the P&I cost to each homeowner would be about $1,000.
So it's an assessment.
Payable over 10 years would be $100 a day. No, nobody's going down assessment path.
Yeah, so.
So,
It's a normal
so what
course of,
if, so what if, well, we already have a commitment from Coulter for 3 of the pickleball courts. What about Neil, who's really playing up to pickleball courts, saying to them, how about if you pay for the other pickleball courts, and then that takes the burden off of, that lowers it somewhat.
That lowers future costs for us, correct. But then we're not in a position to negotiate. Coulter has to do that. We ask them to do that. So talking about it all.
That was my question, was can the VCA have that conversation with Neil? Or does that have to be Neil to Coulter? And if it has to be Neil to Coulter, have there already been promises made that we're not going to
I've been told that there's no promises that have been made, that Neil did not demand pickleball be part of whatever deal they originally cut with Coulter. And this is Coulter trying to figure out how to unroll this property. They thought a good use of it would be pickleball courts, administrative offices, or whatever. But we're not a legal entity. We're still homeowners subject to the Coulter-owned VCA board, and they can do whatever they want. And they need to do the negotiation. Yeah.
It sure would be a nice demonstration of goodwill to the community if Neil would even kick in some paltry amount of money. You know, I mean, it's just so that you could say they were participating because they will be benefiting. You know,
Create the goodwill that overcomes the bad will that they have to fight for.
right.
Last weekend,
Every weekend.
Many,
Yes. Many reasons. And they keep off the grass signs that don't say please. Could you just say please? They're horrible. They're in my neighborhood because they're building houses in my neighborhood. They're just so off-putting. I digress.
Well, I don't know where this is going to go. We have a strategic planning committee meeting this afternoon. This is the topic of conversation, and the intent was to try to put some kind of presentation together for the local reps for the town hall meeting that we're going to have on Friday. And hopefully, if we give you a short week to get the lay of the land in the neighborhoods, because we have development meeting coming up on the 18th. And the reason that came with big reservation is because we know it's just going to be jam-packed.
Mm-hmm. Is there any magic behind that timeline? Is that, I mean, I know they do it every year, but the development, is there any, are there any dots to be connected?
No, they made a commitment to this process and also to the potential of the purchase of the club itself to provide updates to us, as well as the own update of the whole building process yet. They've changed a couple of things. They've changed the density down to 1650, which offers the amount of homes that need to get built out to get to the 90% mark, down to about 240 or something, I think.
It's about 270.
So that lowers the time frame and the expectations to understand when having to vacate the premises. And they're starting to think about their long-term exit, short-term exit strategy. I think they have a good sense of they know what they have to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Well, my hope, Gary, was that these two pieces were at least a starting point toward what you need for.
You've done yeoman's work, this is fabulous stuff, I personally just not quite sure how to interpret it, I can spin it 3 ways.
Mhm. Well, I mean, I can spin it too, but it's, you know, it's what I think.
But I don't wanna spin it.
Right, which is exactly what I didn't, but I think that potentially your steering committee needs to come to some consensus, and I don't know if that can happen this afternoon, about what these results mean to them as our leadership. And then, once you sort of, as a group, have some consensus, you can build some messaging around that.
I'm not sure I agree 100% with you. I think our role is better served by trying to put this together with the talking points and the financials for the advisory committee at large, because they're really the ones that are going to be making the decision on behalf of the neighborhoods, on behalf of the neighborhoods. And I think we need to put it back in your laps to come up with what the ultimate recommendation is going to be. I don't think this gives us enough strength to go forward and say to the advisory committee, here's what we recommend that all workers would do. I don't feel comfortable that we have a position.
Well, can you foresee like after it's presented, after we have the financial forum like this, and we present it to, in one form or another to the neighborhoods, would there be something like a straw vote?
I'm hoping, picking up on David's idea, I'm hoping that as many of the neighborhood reps can get in front of most or all of the constituents in the next 10 days and talk about this.
We're having Shady Bend on Thursday,
Yeah, Bob's.
and it's on the agenda. Whether he's taking a straw vote or not, I don't know, but an update on this is on the agenda.
And other communities are going through the same process, because this is the month for elections fall this summer. HOAs.
I think what you've done with this so far in this meeting is the only rational approach, which is, okay, what questions do we have? Now that we've looked at this, what questions do we have? And I think when collecting those questions then helps you maybe trying to get some answers. But at this point, all I have is questions.
Oh, so do I. I've written down all on every page.
What about that frequently asked questions sheet? Are you and your compadres going to fill in the blanks of the answers to the questions?
I don't know. I think we're going
I
to
think
talk
that
about
would be
that.
something good for, I would appreciate that. Not that I haven't been around for all this stuff, but just to have something on paper to refer to, and if I was going to present it myself and not one of
We will do that. Make sure that it's discussed.
Sounds really reasonable to me, as our family, for what we get here and what our properties work.
One of this, it's mostly people that think it's a good thing to do. They wouldn't really do it. Wouldn't play it. You know, it's a good thing to purchase it, but not
again,
choices.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tricia made a good point. We need to stop putting your head in the sand. That's something that, you know, is allowing the community to grow, because we do need to grow as a community, because we've stagnated for so long with the building. So if that's important to that growth, then that's important. But it's the control. It's, you know, having a voice in where it goes, and not being told, as we have been so many times in this community, where things will go or how things should go. We have strength in numbers, smart people, good people, engaged people in the room. You know, just, you know, the time is now to get people motivated and educated. Yeah, think about in every situation in life, you know, when people get upset or weird or freaked out, it's because they have no information or lack of information. That's, you know, informing people and giving people good information, solid figures, and just taking the, you know, guesswork out of everything. $1,000, come on, it's for what we have here. And it's
Over 10 years.
that's over 10 years. Right? It's seriously. I mean, that's, you know, that's. But again, we need the right strategy to get people educated. The community meeting first, get people really aware. We're going to have a bigger town hall meeting in short order. Let's make sure everybody's aware of it. Let's don't have a bunch of idiots in the room heckling and all that kind of stuff. It's just not necessary. Than what this forward.
Well, big meetings, that's,
The River House is very booked for March. I don't think you'd be able to.
Yeah, we need to go
The,
like Vincent de Paul's or
main-
something.
Main dining room.
We do it in the church or something.
Yeah,
That's
that is an option, it's an option if you have the funds to rent.
No, I mean, just right down the street, so it's not too far away, but, make it such that, people can get there and it's open during the night. Is that, these things that, no, that doesn't work, how many days of the river village right now. And doesn't that speak to the fact that we need to do something about our space and having a place where,
Yes, it does.
it can actually house a few of these people around here for a meeting, as opposed to
Problem is where,
stuffing everybody?
and then if we buy we buy this building, we still can't have big meetings here either. That's that's just the one thing, we could fit, 40 cars, 45 cars, 50.
well, the new site plan says 52 with 48 with 2 handicap spots. But that's nowhere near sufficient.
I mean, a meeting in season, 50 cars here, we have to run a shuttle service.
I was gonna say shuttle service and bikes, and really,
It's
promote
tough,
that.
it's tough.
From the get-go, Bonita Bay. I love Bonita Bay. I think they did a very nice job
That's it.
keeping it pretty, but
You
they
have
did
10
pretty.
pickleball courts here for 8 or 9, however many there is.
Pickleball wasn't even named in grandmother's eye when they started there.
Short-sighted.
And their plans for expansion were mixed by food. So, I mean, we lay also Coulter's feet, but they didn't create the problem.
Well, they squeezed in more houses. They rezoned.
Well, yes, and I mean, it was always 1,700, even in the Green Bay days. But the density was different. They had more idle Pebblebrook's instead of single family.
And does that include the 1650 that we have now? Is that including those lots in Pebblebrook or the to be built in Pebblebrook?
As far as I understand, it has to.
I would think so. Yeah, and I think that's going to be a sticky wicket down the road, because there's several multifamilies. I think it's 12 or
44 additional homes.
I forget the exact figure, but it was
11 lots with 4 boxes.
maybe 8 buildings. Is it 8?
I missed it, I'm so sorry, I have to be some other ones, so. It's great seeing you all again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very
Good
much.
to see you, Jody.
Wonderful.
Safe travels.
Thank you very much, hopefully I'll see you before I leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it Saturday?
Darn, I'm so sorry to miss that. I gotta go. I've been out here for too long. Paradise, I love it down here. See you all soon.
Take care.
Take care, Jody.
Okay, so now we're back to, we just keep doing questions.
Well,
What do you guys hear from your constituents?
They're, right now they're in a holding pattern, because I told them we're in a holding pattern. We're doing our due diligence, so be patient. We have people who know what they're doing, who are experts in this field, who are getting all the information together. People are waiting for the bottom line, they really are, and so if the bottom line doesn't hit them too hard, then I think they'll be happy to just, okay, it'll be fine.
Is bottom line strictly a dollar figure? Or are they looking for an architectural plan for this facility? What would satisfy them?
Well, first of all, how much is it going to cost?
The base price is $1 million.
Okay, all right, but they
Plus
want to know
whatever
out
it
of
is.
their pocket per year and for how many, that kind of thing. So if I told them it's $100 a year for 10 years, then they have something to go with. Okay, so I don't play pickleball, but maybe, but it's not a big deal. And it might increase the value of the community, so they would go along with it.
That's, I think, how we addressed it at the annual meeting. It's $127,000 per year for 10 years to pay this entire building off, including all the interest and principal and whatnot. So as we grow, that number will, the 127 between all the homeowners will decrease.
Is it get divided among
Absolutely.
more people?
Absolutely.
Gary, to answer your question, this is not in the record, just in terms of what I heard on Sugar Bend, you hear from the two extremes. It's that big middle, are really silent about
So
this.
it's the silent majority.
They're silent about this because they don't know what's going on.
With 1,215 homes right now, it's $105 a year. That's how much it is right exactly at this exact moment. If it did come out to 127,000 per year for 10 years, obviously 102, 198. You know, I mean, it's going to decrease the more homes are sold, and I think now it's closer to 1220 and 1215. But I think they're kind of splitting hairs with that one. But yeah, it's about 104 to 105 right now.
So
Is that enough to satisfy them?
I don't know, because the noisy few, as opposed to the silent majority, they have a lot of questions, and so that might they'd be waiting for more information. So if you're talking about architectural plans, I don't know that they want those. But they would want some sort of assurance, I suppose, that it's not going, that everything has been accounted for and there aren't going to be surprises.
Something I've heard, it's not the dollar amount for the noisy few, whatever that size of the group is, but that I think what needs to be overcome is the sense that we're being ripped off.
That's true.
There isn't the amount. There's no dollar amount that overcomes that issue of, look, they're hosing us. What are you doing?
We've heard that since day one, right? I mean, there has been a group of
So
people
I think that's the issue. That's the
Whether
800
it's true or
pound
not,
gorilla.
you know, I don't know.
The dead cat.
And there's no answer. There's no answer to that. No, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
I agree with that.
But I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
Well, that's the vintage developer-homeowner relationship. That always goes pretty sour, especially the closer you get to turnover. That's just how it is. I mean, that's exactly how it's what it's comprised of. I mean, there's the developers have to get us, they come down with us, and the developer's always the bad guy, whether they are or they aren't. I've seen them be the bad guy.
And I'll just say that, yeah, there are people on both sides of this that have screwed this up. I believe that Coulter handled it poorly. The way it was presented was really kind of it didn't present in the nicest way.
It showed belief to that. I mean,
Yeah,
they gave
it
justice
gave
to
credence
their
to it.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Their first foray was, we can do this. We can sell it to ourselves, and we're just going to turn it down over to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we stopped that, and they agreed that they're not going to force this down our throat. But it's been a long process.
Hard slog, yeah, which is why I say there's been a ton of work that's happened.
Absolutely.
And really, you guys have moved the ball, when you think about it that way, because, we're no longer in that place. And we've identified, with some reasonability, whether this building is really just a piece of crap or whether there's anything that can be done with it. And the sense is, it's not that bad. The trailers aren't that bad, but the building itself not that bad. I mean, there's been a lot done to sort of come around to the point of, maybe, if it's only $100 a year, what the hell? It's kind of where I landed.
Didn't we, as the BCA, get our own appraisal of this property?
I thought that way too.
We're trying to get it. We're trying to get some money so that we can do that. Because
Didn't they say they'd give us money?
they're not for the appraisal. Because they said they're already done to. And they're not going to buy it off the $1 million price. So
I think that's something that would definitely add credence to the case to buy this, is our own appraisal coming in close to what theirs is.
Yes. I agree.
And the opposite, meaning the resistance to do an appraisal, only calls into question whether they're trying to.
True.
this building's for sale right now for $1.2 million in the open market.
Right, and that's what I referred to earlier as the other card, that people don't understand. If we don't do this, what happens? And are we cool with that? Maybe.
Depends on what it is.
Maybe people are cool with the idea that, the front here could be, I don't know, pick something if a tattoo parlor is.
It cannot be a roast.
A fine dining restaurant.
Legally,
There
this
won't be enough
thing
parking for that.
I'm just saying that there are things that could
But
be.
it could be, I don't know, an oil change place. I'm not trying to be facetious or provocative, I'm just saying, if it's for sale,
Legally, this cannot be a real estate
There's only
company.
a few things that this property is zoned for. And most of the things that everybody's talking about would not be permitted because there's not enough parking for them.
right. So that's, not to spin it, right? But if you chose to spin it, that's how you would spin it, right? It's like, okay, so here's what the offer that we have. Here's what we think it'll cost. And here's the consequence of not acting, is that we lose control of this front area of our community, and it'll be sold to some sort of commercial entity, and, it'll be what it'll be. And I think that's the whole picture that people don't really maybe have yet.
And there is no other spot within Bermuda that could be pickleball.
Oh, there's plenty of spots, but they're all accounted for in terms of future lots. The cultures have never been willing to give up land to build a second clubhouse facility and pickleball courts and parking.
It was an eye-opener to me to finally realize how much land in the CBD is. I always thought that was part of, in my ignorance, I thought that was part of the general VCA, but the CDD owns probably
More than anything.
more than anyone else.
Which is good, because it's not going to get developed. Or it's going to stay the way it is.
I think one of the facts you're talking points should include what the alternatives are, for sure, if we don't buy it. Where else can we put it? How much would that cost?
Well, there's two alternatives. One, what we call the this property, that's the unknown.
But you do know what the options are for who's zoned for it, who's allowed there.
Yeah, a small doctor's office, potentially a small office building complex, probably no retail, no restaurant facilities, no tattoo parlors.
You cannot be a real estate company that sells property outside of Randall. That's not allowed in this property. I know that. If it sells anything outside of Randall, real estate that's not allowed here.
How much would a good appraisal cost?
It's a little out of my field, but I've been told 10 grand.
I think part of the reason they didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't jump right to getting another appraisal was because there was so much open question about zoning and permitting. And in order to get a really valid appraisal, you need to kind of narrow that down, right? And
So
what
has
are we
that been done
appraising
now?
for?
No,
What can it be used for?
we just had an architect walk through this facility with David and then to look at what could be done, and we were waiting for some rough figures of what that would cost and what that might look like. And then we could take that to an appraiser with potential use of this whole property and say, okay, what is this worth? And we wanted to divide it between the land and the building. The appraisal is stuff we have now, just block it all together.
But is it an exercise? And I support getting another, appraisal. I think it would be a great thing to have. But is it really an exercise in futility if Coulter has just said?
It may not be depending on the financing,
Okay.
because if the financing requires an independent third-party appraiser, then we have to do it.
How much
Who
swing
we-
is there in an appraisal?
Right?
How much swing can there be from one appraisal to another? Can those really be weighted against, or favor of what you want to see?
Almost identical,
Mm-hmm.
and the one that was done by the bank was replacement cost methodology for this building, the one done by Coulter did not. So those are two different ways to value the property, vastly different, and yet the numbers are identical. So,
So it seems that replacing the property, you should have been a higher line.
Right. But if you just look at 4,500 square feet times $200 a foot, you're going to get to $1 million pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right now kind of the going,
Yeah, that's not on the line.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So if we, tear this down and start over, just erecting new structures would cost $900,000.
It would cover that cost, what exactly would the new structure be,
Well,
those costs.
you're back in the same bucket.
Exactly.
So,
That's all.
so that suggests to me that $1 million, while it seems outlandish, may not be so far-fetched.
Yeah, I like Norm's point completely, that it's a mindset
Yeah.
about what needs to.
No, I mean, the mindset is, from what I see and hear and pick up at the bar and talking to everybody, is everybody thinks culture's out to screw us, and that there's such anti-culture sentiment out there that it's unbelievable. And I've tried to determine where it's coming from, and the best I can figure is 99% of it's coming from the building units. So they didn't go back, and they didn't go back and do the finished work that they were supposed to. They didn't finish out all the punch list stuff. So the animosity in the newer neighborhoods that were culture developed was really strong. All the residents, I think we tend to look at like, okay, they did a nice job of renovating the river house, we didn't agree with ripping out the porch, but they did a good job. The new bar, forget the decor, it's perfect for what it was designed to do. They've done a lot of positive things. And the lack of land is that they inherited that.
So I agree with you. I think that people that, so I bought a coaching home, it was a step. So I didn't have a lot of the
Punch list
angst. Well, we had a punch list items, so it was a step, but didn't have the angst of the back and forth of, here's what I want to build, oh, you can't quite do that, you don't make these choices. Like the people that I'm going to say custom in air quotes because they're not custom builders by any stretch, but people that built their own place didn't buy a spec. I think exactly what you're saying. They just had such a struggle back and forth with getting what they wanted, and then they came out at the end and maybe they didn't or they didn't. My personal experience was not that bad. I mean, we had some things we wanted them to do, and if you're persistent enough, you can make it work. But you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of people that were unhappy with that whole experience, and so they're just sort of irretrievable into that.
And one would think that the new development is it's a more pickleball oriented, but most people that bought for golf. Right? I don't know, like everybody, but I just.
Well, I think Bob put together a pickleball committee now, right? So I don't know what all they've done and
What do they charge with doing?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Developing an understanding of what a court might look like, how to supervise it, make sure that it's regulation size, because there's two sizes. Pickleball courts, you can go and look at the noise abatement issues in terms of equipment and fencing and things like that. Just trying to get a handle on it, because almost none of us that play pickleball even understand it.
Well, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I wonder if those two people have a sense of who the other people are. That
I know my neighbor
this.
Maggie goes all the way to North Fort Myers to play pickleball a couple times a week.
And some people are like us in
Yeah,
Torrey.
people go up to Babcock Lake.
Yeah. And some people go down to Corkscrew Shores.
Yeah. They play for free.
So it seems like if we had our own appraisal, then we would have, that would quiet the people who think, because that would be an independent one. And so if it came in close to what Coulter's is, then that would be validation for moving forward with Coulter's deal. If it's not, then that would give us.
And you're right. We're getting rid.
Yeah, right, that's right, but at least then there's negotiation and there's not. So where would we find $15,000 for a,
Short of passing that, we don't have it, and we've asked.
No, there's definitely no room in the budget.
But if they were made aware of the fact that it's animosity towards them that's the problem, they don't care, I guess, they figure.
They do care. I've had that conversation with Paul and Jim Harvey several times, and Bobby said to me as late as 2 weeks ago, he said, we want to leave here with a good reputation, but with a good feeling, not just when we think it, and then we want to see when they think it. Our strategy is to exit the same way. So really not trying to create animosity. I just think they step all over themselves. I don't think
Well, I think they shot themselves in the foot in the way they presented it.
yeah, and that's part of the problem.
Offering the money for the VCA-based appraisal would be a good step for them.
Yeah, that makes them look like they're stepping up and being fair.
Well, it's all money besides.
Is there anything? Is there anything in here that would be useful in trying to convince them?
I think the only thing that would be useful is if we really give them a strong indication that we would support this.
Yeah, the property value has to be interesting.
And I think that the strongest thing we can do is to have the lending institution strong on it.
Mm.
If that's a requirement, then we can get money. Or we want to do the deal.
That might be, well, so I'm headed out of here tomorrow morning. So,
For something nice?
Yeah, I'll be in South America for 3 weeks.
Oh, life's a bitch, isn't it?
I know, somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to do it. But hopefully, you know, the troops here can assist you with the further piece or changing this up in any way that you want to change it. Linda has the Word document of this, which is workable, and then I can send the PowerPoint document so that it can be rearranged and changed, you know, or discarded and start over again. But, you know, I think that these folks would help to develop whatever other pieces that you feel you need. I do think some talking points, you know,
I agree.
would not go amiss. It's just what are they? You know, like what do you want to emphasize? You know.
You might be at the stage where we're prepping for that meeting.
Yeah, you know, one of the things we talked about was everybody's well-intentioned, but not everybody's been involved with this to the same depth. And so to ask, like you two have, but to ask other neighborhood Bob has, to ask other neighborhood reps to have a meeting with their constituents where they haven't been involved is almost unfair without giving them some support, or one of us being there with them to hold their hand. And it becomes a logistical nightmare. But I think we have no choice but to try and do it.
I agree.
It's to a point.
When you get the other documents, I would be happy to try and give them a look so that it just looks like a complete package. You know, that, like,
Stay by your phone.
Stand by.
We will, this is the entire, agenda for us this afternoon. We'll try and wrestle this down, but it's going to be the same conversation. And
it seems like it's times for this conversation, but it grows a little bit every time. It does, I think.
Yeah, I think we just got to keep exercising it, and it becomes clearer. And you know, the one thing I don't think we've really done is we haven't taken an individual survey amongst ourselves of where we all stand individually.
I think we should buy it, and I won't use it.
So there's some built-in biases that we're all bringing to the table.
Of course.
Perspectives. But the one thing I would that may need, as you work through stuff, that may need clarification among this information is for the commentary and such. I tried to sort of bucket the information and talk about percentages of negativity versus, you know, here's everything.
Is there another word we could use?
I'm sure there is, but my point is that at the end I've got a percentage, it runs from 10 to 33% of the comments, right? But what the really salient phrase there is of the comments, right? Because 793 people took this. 793 people did not comment. On the first question, about 50 people commented. On the second question, about 50 people commented. On the question 8, which was the open
200.
comment box, 197. And that's the one that had the highest percentage of negativity, as defined by Tricia looking at it. And that came out about 33%. But 33% of 197 is 64 people. Okay, so
Not much.
I tried to talk of it sort of in that high-level way, but I do worry a little bit that it might, I mean, you can extrapolate and say that, you know, we can take this as representative of everybody, and so maybe a third of everybody is feeling that way, but in reality, 64 people. Yeah.
No, the ones
But
that are
those
the
are
highest,
vocal.
And again, it comes back to my comment about the extremes. I mean, you got partisans on either side. And the rest are kind of saying, I don't know.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is those 64 people are going to be loud and unkind, perhaps, but should they really steer the rest, the larger majority?
Well, 48 people in Panda Creek steered the original pickleball program.
and she was the spearhead. Yeah.
Yeah, and clearly she feels strongly about it. You know, we all get to feel how we get to feel.
I think if we were in her position, I think we'd feel the same way.
Well, there's definitely a not in my backyard thing going on, because these folks right here are adamantly opposed.
I thought that was a done deal, but apparently somebody isn't.
And I don't blame them.
Yeah, one more
to be
final one
honest
too
with
is he's expressing some serious concern.
you. Yeah, I don't
In
know.
writing and in person, absolutely.
You think he's somebody who will litigate?
I don't know him that well.
Because that's another big one.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know him that well.
Fortunately, not ours to worry about.
That's why, you know, that's part of why I asked about the pickleball community, because it would be curious to me to know how they would feel about a facility that would give them a place to play, but it wouldn't be the be-all and end-all, right? Maybe it's a smaller scale facility, maybe it doesn't have lights, maybe it closes at 7 p.m. out of consideration for where it's located. Given those compromises, if you will, would the pickleball aficionados still say, yes, we want it? Or would they say, well, you know what, don't bother, because that makes it untenable for us? That would be valuable to know.
I think the response would be more lukewarm. They did talk about all that.
Okay.
And they dead set against the noise abatement equipment or anything that would change the plan of the game.
Well, that's interesting, because communities down the way further require it. Yeah. But, and I don't think it, well, I don't know. I've never played it, so I'm just going to stop. My sense is that it doesn't change the play. I don't know.
To the purist, maybe, but I don't think you're in perception.
Well, yeah.
You were going to say something. I think I cut you off. Sorry.
I forgot what that one was before. But what if we bought the same size piece of property, and it's a satellite, not here, not contiguous, and put up a structure? Would that cost $1.3 million?
No, probably goes 2.5.
Oh, well,
Well, the land would be an awful lot, and
Yeah.
building, how much does it cost to build
You
it
have to develop the land,
And you'd have to be zoned.
zone, and then you have to
for utilities and grading,
You have to bring it into this community by, I'm not quite sure the legal process to do that, but you have to provide access to it. You'd have
this
to-
place is
you
a
have to start-
bargain.
But how
That's
big would the
probably
building be?
part of their
That's-
thinking.
How big would the building be? If, hypothetically speaking, 4 or 5,000 square feet, and building a 4 or 5,000 square foot building. That's a lot. That's
Well, if you wanted to build a building that could accommodate 1,600 doors, the town hall type meeting, which would be potentially 3,200, it's another 20.
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness. That's
Mhm.
It could almost be like a
That's an
sports
understatement.
center like they have up north, where it's open year round. I mean, it could be air conditioned, and, you know, it could be like a warehouse type
Maybe
thing.
maybe we
They
could
We should just go down to Sun Coast for it.
maybe we could rent it out to some people and get a little
Make it money, right?
Sounds like a blank check.
Yeah. So that's a tough one, but A lot of different.
Honestly, I didn't know it would cost that much to build it somewhere else. I thought it would be like half the price. I didn't realize
No,
it would be
no,
twice the
to
price.
buy land, to develop land, to build a structure would be, yeah, you said 2.5, I think that might even be low, that might be on the light end of things, to be honest with you, it might be close to 4 now.
Yeah, but one of the advantages here is that all that development market infrastructure is in,
Mhm.
so it doesn't have to be done. I mean, taking those bathrooms off and adding new bathrooms is a huge on plumbing connections, no big deal. But to start over, trench it, you just look what they're doing right there.
Right, just take a peek over here,
Just look at
that's what
Yeah.
I
all
got.
what they've done.
Yeah, well,
And that, I'm sure that's part of their strategy, is they know that.
well, I
That
think
that's not a viable way for us to go.
to me, part of winning over the homeowners, if that's what we're trying to do, and I think that that's a valid point, that this is really a good deal. It's
So
not
Well, letting
It's
them
not a
know
rip-off,
what
right.
happens if we deny the
Here's
deal.
why it's priced that way.
No,
Well,
see,
this is-
I look at I'm not looking for a good deal. I think people are looking for a fair
a
deal.
fair deal.
I think you made a very good point that we need to make sure we are cognizant of as we talk about this, and it's the use of advocates. And you're right, this needs to be fair to not.
As somebody who's negotiated things, I was always the impression when I went into negotiation, if we both think we got a rotten deal, it's probably a good deal.
2 negatives equal positive.
Well, it's just, if you come out, see, it's not about winning. If you come out of this negotiation where you think you've been hosed, and I think I've been hosed, well, then no one's been hosed. But if you think you've been hosed, and I think I got one over on you, that's really a bad deal.
The one, yeah.
That's really, never works out right.
Well, that's the part of the education. What happens if the VC area, what happens if this is denied, this deal is denied and culture does whatever, sells it to another commercial, what happens there, or what happens if we, like Linda says, buy another piece of property and build on it, how much is that gonna cost? So those are 2 alternatives that may need to be presented.
It's more than cost, it's time.
Oh my goodness, it'll take years.
It's 5 years.
Minimum. Because when you get all the utilities in there, and then dealing with FPL, those are not easy, complicated to deal with. And then building, getting the zoning, and then you have to deal with the county, and just a whole 5 years.
Then you gotta staff it.
So, the Pebblebrook properties, that empty land is not available.
Well, the board's going to have to agree for Pebblebrook, and I know there's a couple internal issues with Pebblebrook, and so that's not going to be.
Can we use that as fact when we're talking to our, if someone brings it up in our neighborhood meeting? It's not a viable option?
I think Pebblebrook or Miranda are companies to talk about Pebblebrook, because they have a legal transaction that occurred in I don't know if Jaguar is doing, but I'm certainly not going to talk about that in more details.
Yeah, it's a Pebblebrook or culture topic right now. I don't think there's much on that. So
I think the tricky thing about any of the land that's there that's not fully developed yet is exactly what we've been saying, the hang out in my backyard thing. Because the land that remains to be built upon out in the back of the community where I am, they're actively putting in a road out there, kind of like they're doing for Winding River. They're doing another neighborhood out there that's, starting from scratch, all the stuff that's going in.
Is that the one by the power line?
Yeah, but there are 2 more that haven't even been started yet, that are stubbed out there
And there's a ton of land and nothing around it.
well,
Over by 4 on Ocean Oaks.
I'm not a golfer, so I don't really golf, but, my point is, pick a place, you're gonna be close to houses. I don't know.
I think there's a multi-family neighborhood going in right across from Willow Bend. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's
I thought they put the one
It's not multi-family.
across from Willow Bend. There's a new development going in there.
Yeah,
I'd have to speak to Colter about that a little bit more, but I know that there's
that's the
something.
road I'm talking about.
I finally heard about this thing, but I think Colter might have to chime in on that one. But
that one
That's gonna be developed.
goes by the power line.
Across
If
from
you
Fort
go down
Wayne.
Buckingham Road, you can see, that extends way down.
Mhm.
They're clearing it back down towards Buckingham Road.
Right, it goes all the
Not
way
all
out to
that's- not all
Buckingham and
that's
then
gonna
it
be
takes a
developed.
left.
The power line's at 132,
You know,
so.
Yeah, so
but I
it's-
see where they're clearing it.
It's like a road that runs along the
Yeah,
power line,
right.
and then it takes like a left and goes back in there.
Yes.
I don't know how many, I thought it was slated for 20 or 30 some homes.
Well, no, Magnolia
It's not as
Point.
big as you think it is.
Magnolia Point is
That's what
different.
I'm talking about.
Magnolia Point's single family
That's
homes,
what
but across from Willow Bend on the other side of the road, there's gonna be, I believe I heard it was a more.
Yeah, I thought they backed off that zone. didn't
So
they?
there's Amblewood,
Yeah,
there's Magnolia Point,
uh-huh.
and then I think Willow Bend, and then Fairway Cove, Woodhaven. So then across the street from them, there's Torrey Pines,
Right.
and then Willow Ridge, and in the middle, I think that's where there's.
That's the one that goes back.
Oh, no, that's,
Around the floor.
yeah, there's one that's, but I heard next to, across from Torrey,
Mhm.
that they were gonna put in a larger product to sort of be more in line with Torrey.
We're across from Torrey.
On the other side of
On
the
the other, like if
South-
you're walking
South
out,
Lake, right?
This
This
side
is like-
is built out,
no, if you're going out to community, right? Torrey's on your left,
right?
there's a lake, and then there's a stub of a road. It's on the same side as Torrey.
Yeah, that's
Further
one,
out.
that's the one probably that goes behind Ford.
No, there's one that just goes next to Torrey, and then there's another one. That's the one you're talking about.
Okay.
There's two.
I
On that
speak
side.
with Paul.
I think the other power lines, like the built expensive, that height tower has zero power lines.
I don't know what
Right
they
here.
do, I just know what I heard.
Yeah, that's the Magnolia Point Willow Bend area. Winding River was supposed to be 100-foot lots, and then now that's required for 75-foot lots.
I'm sorry to move off, but I thought we'd done it 11
Yeah, I had an 11:30 meeting with Willow Bend.
Okay, you wanna leave this discussion for another time?
I guess maybe, so what's happening, what,
Well, you guys have been live on YouTube the entire meeting.
We're live.
I don't think
And,
Jody was aware of that.
On YouTube
Just,
live here.
The leadership needs to decide where you would want to use this kind of thing, because the capability is already here and it's costless. I give you three options here. Just because people have suggested GoToMeeting or Global Meet, I just wanted to give you some prices on that. OBS is open broadcasting software, which is a free software, which is what I'm using right now. There's no cost. GoToMeeting Webinar costs $429 a month for up to 2,000 participants. This is the wrinkle with GoToMeeting or any one of the other ones, including Skype Business, is that, first of all, it's a hosting. That's what they do. They host and provide other kinds of features, which this does free. But these GoToMeeting or Global Meet, there are limitations on the number of participants who can log in, who can be in at the same time. Whereas when I go through YouTube, there is unlimited number of participants. So that's why I went in the direction of open broadcast.
What if, like, the neighborhood reps knew that something like this would be coming up? Not like what you would have done in the River House. They request questions from their neighborhood, they gather them, they pass them on to whoever's presenting it. Plus, if they watch it and hear the answers, and then, because it's not interactive, but in a way.
It is interactive.
Oh, it is interactive?
If you see here, you can send questions.
Comments, right? Yeah, you can send comments.
Comments and questions
awesome.
in the margin over here. So you can be interactive.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want voice, we on this end can fix it so it's just typed in rather than just
So
voice
Norm, you
in.
can-
I'm just saying it has the capability.
So we're having a meeting.
You're having a meeting right now.
We're having a
There
meeting
it
right
is.
now, but let's say we have a bigger meeting. We can send, hypothetically, with our new amazing database that we have, we can send a link out to the homeowners
Correct.
and they can click and
Beforehand, you
interact.
would send, okay, this will be live
At 11 o'clock.
10 o'clock on Tuesday morning.
Right. Please click it.
Right.
Feel free to send your questions. We'll try to get.
So
okay.
what's required?
Which is so perfect for the neighborhood meeting.
Absolutely.
You know what, Gary?
So
So
what's required? Let me just go over that very quickly. I know everybody else. You gotta have a YouTube account that's been established. What you're looking at right now.
So is this your?
I was looking at myself.
No. I set one up, I established one, oh, low battery. I established one
I didn't do my
that's
hair this
called
morning.
VCA Communications Committee.
Oh, cool, okay,
Okay, so that's what we're broadcasting on now,
Okay.
VCA Communications Committee.
okay.
As I said, the advantage, not only is it free, but it's unlimited.
And we could also on that mass email.
What's required? You have to have, we need a laptop.
Well, I have
You've
one.
gotta, okay, because you've gotta, have the software loaded on something.
Sure.
And it's gotta have wireless capability. What I'm doing is going in through the wireless here in the sales center.
Mhm.
I am broadcasting this now is broadcasting through the wireless, to the internet, to YouTube,
And any device that can pick up
Well, then
on
you
YouTube,
can have-
including phones.
including
Yeah,
your
that's
own
awesome.
television.
Yeah,
You
including
put on your
including
house
phones.
on Fire Stick and put on
Put it in
the.
in the box.
What's required? We already have a YouTube account. It requires a wireless network connection at the site of the meeting.
Mhm.
So,
Sure.
if you're doing a Shady Ben thing at Bob's house, if he has wireless, which he does, we can use that.
Does it have to be wireless? It couldn't be wired?
Oh, it can be
It
wired.
could be wired, just an internet connection,
Right.
yeah, okay.
Once it's done, is it recorded so it can
Right.
be reviewed
It
again?
is right now.
So
a great-
where does
great
this
tool for
live? Do you
this.
have the URL? If we wanna go later and like review our meeting,
I will send that to you.
that's awesome.
So you
Did
can
you,
look at
did
it.
you record our whole meeting?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
recording right now.
It's still required. It's still going.
Yeah, I'm being-
Although
I'm
my
being
battery's
recorded
gonna
right
die in a minute.
We
So-
spin that computer
All
on.
right, so laptop. There are severe limitations with doing what I'm doing right now in terms of audio and video, especially audio. The sound is not, well, really, unless you're right next to it, it sounds like you've had
You're
the
in a
phone out here.
box, yeah.
Right,
So you're
right.
kind of listening. We've all listened to even news. When I listen to, say, a politician, if they don't put the mic right next to them, it sounds like the telephone's out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
In order to really do this, we need a video camera on a tripod and a microphone that would be on a table or desk in front of whoever is speaking, and they can move it around. About $400.
Is that money available?
We could-
That's awesome.
We can find that kind of money, and this to me is absolute perfect solution for.
I'm going to shut this now because I'm losing my battery.
In terms of neighborhood communication.
10,000-15,000 for an
Very
appraisal. is
exciting
not
stuff.
wrong.
He sends out 10 o'clock on Friday, we're gonna have a sanctuary point meeting. I'm gonna broadcast live and in person from my home. Plug in and listen.
Essentially, what I was trying to do is find the least expensive way to do this.
Good job, Norm, you found a good
You've
one.
done good.
Yeah, very, very
Absolutely.
good.